Every story begins with a hero. But this one was born from a curse. The world once knew him as Naruto Uzumaki. A loud, hopeful kid who dreamed of becoming Hokage. But today, we open the gates to a timeline where destiny took a far darker turn. A timeline where Naruto didn't rise into the light, but fell deep into the shadows. A timeline where the boy abandoned by the world became something far more terrifying. The Black Spider King. In a world where fate twists darker than anyone ever imagined, Naruto Uzumaki, once the loud, bright, dream-filled boy of Konoha, awakens a hidden bloodline no one knew existed, a forbidden lineage tied to the ancient spider deity Kuro Arachne, a primordial creature older than the Sage of Six Paths himself. And Naruto discovers this curse blessing during a mission gone terribly wrong as he falls into an underground abyss beneath the land of demons, where he is cocooned in living black threads and hears a deep, echoing voice calling him, my heir, and when he tears free, he is reborn with obsidian veins glowing under his skin, 8 shadow-like spider limbs emerging from his back made of pure chakra, and an aura so cold it makes Anbus tremble, and as Naruto returns to Konoha his friends sense something wrong because his chakra feels like a void pulling everything inward, and Kakashi notices Naruto no longer blinks as often, his pupils becoming slit-like and reflective, and during training Naruto realizes he can command swarms of micro-shadow spiders that spy, fight, and even drain enemy chakra, making him a walking army, and slowly Naruto's cheerful personality begins to fracture as the Spider King whispers temptations. Protect those you love by dominating the world before it harms them, and Naruto starts seeing through illusions, walking on ceilings, weaving indestructible chakra webs that trap even Bija-level attacks, and as Akatsuki learns about this new power, Pain declares Naruto a threat greater than the tailed beasts, while Itachi silently warns Sasuke that if Naruto loses control, the entire shinobi world might collapse under an empire of webs, and during a massive battle with Pain, Naruto finally unleashes his complete transformation, the Black Spider King mode, where his skin turns charcoal black with glowing purple cracks, his voice becomes layered like multiple beings speaking, and the earth beneath him cracks as spider sigils spread from his footsteps, and this terrifies even Kurama who snarls, this creature, it is older than hatred, and Naruto forms a throne of webbed shadows, controlling thousands of chakra. Spiders like a god, but deep inside he is fighting for his humanity, seeing memories of Iruka, Kakashi, Hinata, and Jiraiya, trying to hold on to the boy he once was while the Spider King pushes him to consume all life and become an immortal ruler, and as the 5 Kage unite to stop Naruto, they find themselves trapped in a monstrous web that spans mountains, with Naruto watching them from above like a deity. But when Hinata reaches him and touches his trembling hand, Naruto breaks the Spider King's control for a moment, screaming as the spider markings crack and explode into chakra storms, and in that moment Naruto chooses to fuse both sides, human heart and spider power, becoming a new entity, a guardian Spider King who uses darkness not for domination but for protection, and he leads the shinobi world into an era where shadows guard the night and no threat escapes the eyes of his spider network. Yet deep in the void the ancient mother of spiders awakens, whispering that Naruto has only taken the first step of a prophecy far larger than nations, and the story continues as Naruto builds a kingdom woven between light and darkness, training new shinobi in Arachne style, fighting gods, dimension spirits, and corrupted spider beasts, traveling through forgotten realms where web bridges link entire universes, battling versions of himself in alternate timelines, and slowly transforming from a simple shinobi into the eternal Black Spider King whose webs hold the entire multiverse together, while inside his heart he still carries the warmth of Konoha. Proving that even the darkest power cannot erase the soul of the boy who once shouted, I will become Hokage, and this journey stretches endlessly through wars, alliances, betrayals, god-level battles, cosmic threats, emotional struggles, and the evolution of Naruto into a legend far beyond human limits, enough to fill 10 hours of deep storytelling, dark world-building, emotional arcs, and epic action as the Black Spider King rises and reshapes destiny. After becoming the guardian Spider King who stands between light and abyss, Naruto slowly realizes that the world he saved is beginning to fear him more than ever, because people cannot understand a being who can command a million shadow spiders with a single breath, and late at night Naruto sits at the highest tower of his shadow web palace, constructed from indestructible chakra threads floating above Konoha, wondering if he truly belongs among humans anymore as he feels the ancient spider mother's presence growing louder in his mind, calling him toward a forgotten realm beyond mortal existence, and as Naruto travels through the spectral webway, a highway of shimmering black threads linking countless dimensions, he discovers alternate versions of himself, one who died as a child, one who became a ruthless tyrant, one who never had parents, and one who wielded the full 9 tails from birth. Each version trapped in their own nightmares, and the Spider King inside Naruto tells him. These alternate selves are anchors of destiny that must be consumed to make Naruto the true monarch of the web multiverse, but Naruto refuses to abandon his humanity, and instead tries to save these alternate Narutos, yet each rescue cracks the boundaries of reality, causing cosmic storms of chakra that alert the celestial web guardians, ancient spider-like gods forged from primordial light, who warn Naruto that if he keeps interfering with timelines, the multiverse will collapse into a single infinite web with him at the center, something the Spider Mother secretly desires. Meanwhile in the real world, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Hinata sense Naruto drifting further away as his chakra becomes cold enough to freeze the air and warm enough to burn the ground simultaneously, a contradiction only possible for beings who exist in multiple realities at once, and during one night when the moon turns black, massive spider legs of pure shadow erupt from the sky, signaling the return of the Spider Mother, Arachnia Prime, who emerges like a celestial horror with 1,000 glowing eyes, declaring Naruto her chosen king and demanding that he surrender his remaining humanity so they may weave a new universe free of weakness, but Naruto refuses and activates the Spider King Ascended mode, where his 8 chakra limbs twist into cosmic fractals, his eyes turn into endless spirals of purple void, and time around him slows to a crawl as spiders made of starlight pour from his body, beginning an apocalyptic battle. Across realms where Naruto fights his own bloodline creator, each punch shattering dimensions, each webline slicing ancient galaxies, and as they crash into the Valley of the End, the statues crack, mountains collapse, oceans rise, and the sky splits like paper, while on the battlefield Sasuke arrives with a new Rinnegan pattern called the Araki Rinnegan, evolved after being exposed to Naruto's dimensional webs. And he joins Naruto in a devastating combination technique that fuses Amaterasu black flames with void spider threads to burn away the Spider Mother's form, but she reforms instantly because she exists in every dimension at once, and realizing he cannot defeat her with power, Naruto attempts something far more dangerous, rewriting the web of fate by using his own life as a stabilizing knot, sacrificing his multiversal existence to bind the Spider Mother away behind a sealed cosmic cocoon. But before he can finish, the alternate evil Naruto breaks free from his prison and stabs Naruto with a fang forged from pure hatred, declaring that he will take the throne of the web multiverse, forcing Hinata to awaken her Byakugan god sight, a divine version of Byakugan unlocked through Naruto's love and the spider chakra inside her, which lets her see the true core of the multiverse hidden in Naruto's heart, and crying, she pulls Naruto back by reminding him of who he really is. Regaining strength, Naruto unleashes the final technique, Eternal Web Requiem, a world-shaking explosion of threads containing the memories of every person Naruto ever loved, Irika's kindness, Jiraiya's teachings, Hinata's devotion, Sasuke's rivalry, Kakashi's trust, and these memories bind the Spider Mother, erase evil Naruto, heal the fractures of reality, and restore balance to the multiverse, but leave Naruto changed forever. No longer just a guardian but a transcendent being who exists across infinity yet chooses to live among humans, and in the end Naruto returns to Konoha where he kneels by Hinata, placing his forehead against hers, promising that even if he is the Black Spider King who holds entire realities together, his heart will always belong to the village that first believed in him, while somewhere in the endless void, a small crack appears in the After the cosmic battle that shook every layer of existence, Naruto returns to Konoha carrying scars far deeper than anyone can see, because although he sealed the Spider Mother and erased the evil Naruto, he alone knows that sealing a being who exists across infinite realities is never permanent, and that small crack forming in the cocoon calls to him like a whisper in the back of his soul. And as days pass, Naruto starts losing moments of time, sudden flashes where he finds himself standing in places he doesn't remember visiting, with tiny silver spider threads on his hands that he never created, and at night he dreams of a place beyond the multiverse called the Webgrave, a silent void where abandoned timelines collapse into dust, and in those dreams a small child with glowing silver eyes stares at Naruto, calling him "Father," before fading like smoke, leaving Naruto confused and afraid that some fragment of the spider mother might have birthed something through him. Meanwhile Hinata begins sensing distortions in Naruto's chakra, seeing strange halos around him with her evolved god sight Byakugan, halos shaped like dying timelines, and when she touches Naruto's chest she gasps, feeling two heartbeats, one his, one belonging to something ancient and unborn, and Sasuke, now wielding the Eric Rinnegan, discovers web-like fractures spreading across the sky, invisible to normal eyes, showing that reality has started peeling like old wallpaper because Naruto's existence as a multiversal anchor is destabilizing every dimension simultaneously. To investigate, Naruto travels deep into the webway again, but this time he finds it corrupted, threads decaying into ash, spiders screaming in fear, and at the very center of the webway he encounters a throne made of broken timelines where the silver-eyed child sits, calling himself Araction, the first spider prince and the living embodiment of every consequence Naruto tried to erase. Born from the crack in the spider mother's prison, created from fragments of Naruto's own power and guilt, and this child reveals that he has inherited the spider mother's will to dominate, but evolve beyond her, wanting not to rule the multiverse, but to rewrite it so only a single, perfect version of life exists, free from pain, free from loss, free from choices, and as Araction speaks, his voice echoes like Naruto's childhood loneliness, making Naruto feel as if he is arguing against his own broken past. Back in the living world, timelines begin collapsing into each other, alternate Sasuke's, Hinata's, Gaara's, and even dead shinobi suddenly flicker into existence before dissolving like sand, and the villages panic as the sky ripples like liquid glass, mountains shift positions, and entire histories rewrite themselves in seconds, and realizing the world is days away from complete collapse. Naruto confronts Araction in the webgrave where gravity, time, color, and emotion obey the spider prince's will, and their battle becomes a swirling ballet of collapsing realities, with Naruto fighting not just Araction but versions of himself, the lonely Naruto who never had friends, the brutal Naruto who became a warlord, the despairing Naruto who watched his loved ones die, and as each version presses their pain into his heart, Naruto begins collapsing under the weight of the person he could have become, whispering that maybe Araction is right, maybe the world would be better without choices and suffering. But Hinata dives into the webgrave through the collapsing timelines, grabbing Naruto's face and crying that perfection is meaningless if it erases the ones we love, and her tears ignite a forgotten part of Naruto's soul, allowing him to access the final Spider King evolution, sovereign web form, where he becomes a glowing fusion of light and void, his 8 limbs fractal and infinite, each containing memories of everyone he loves, and with this power Naruto weaves a soul web, connecting every alternate version of himself into one unified consciousness so that instead of fighting each other, they become parts of a whole, giving Naruto strength beyond any god. And finally Naruto faces Araction, the child born from his guilt, hugging him instead of fighting, telling him that pain makes life real, and the moment Araction feels Naruto's acceptance, he shatters into pure light, healing the multiverse. But of the Prime Weaver and Naruto's rebirth as the human spider guardian, the multiverse enters an age unlike anything ever witnessed, an era not of peace or war, but of rewriting existence, because when Naruto returned, fragments of the infinite hope web remained scattered through the fabric of reality, and wherever these fragments drift, they evolve the world in strange, beautiful, and sometimes terrifying ways. Flowers bloom that whisper the memories of loved ones. Lost timelines reappear like mirages in the sky, and ancient extinct creatures return as shimmering spectral beings who wander between dimensions. Naruto roams the newly stabilized webway not as a king but as a guide, wearing a cloak woven from the threads of every universe he saved, and each night he hears faint songs sung by the souls of people whose timelines were restored, thanking him with melodies carried by cosmic winds. Yet deep inside Naruto feels a strange emptiness, not pain, not fear, but a silence, the silence of someone who has defeated every enemy except himself, because without the Spider Mother and Prime Weaver, without destiny chasing him, he doesn't know what he's supposed to be anymore. And while walking through a restructured Konoha where children play with harmless star spiders and the sky shimmering with tiny web constellations, Naruto encounters a mysterious girl with pale silver hair and eyes full of galaxies. Claiming she was born from the last ripple of the Prime Weaver's death, but instead of hatred, she carries innocence, calling herself Weavelet, the daughter of endings, and she asks Naruto a question that shakes his heart: if you are the guardian of all life, then who guards you? A question Naruto cannot answer. Meanwhile Hinata, whose god's sight has matured into a serene celestial vision, begins seeing lights floating around Naruto, lights shaped like keys, each key representing a door to a reality Naruto has not yet unlocked, and she worries that Naruto's rebirth may have tied him to a greater destiny quietly waiting beyond the horizon. Sasuke, on the other hand, discovers that the Eric Rinnegan is evolving on its own, growing fractal veins of silver light that pulse with dormant power, and he realizes his connection to Naruto is no longer spiritual or emotional, it is metaphysical, woven into him as part of the very architecture of the multiverse, and he starts experiencing visions of a dark place known as the Empty Loom, a realm where no universe has ever been born, a place older than gods, older than light, older than fear. And the visions grow stronger every time Naruto uses even a fragment of his cosmic power. Sensing a deeper mystery, Naruto travels with Hinata and Weavelet into the memory wells, pools that allow them to see the forgotten histories of creation, and there they uncover a revelation that rewrites everything: the Spider Mother was not the first weaver, nor the strongest, she was only one strand of a massive cosmic hierarchy, and above her existed beings known as Silk-born Ancients, the original weavers of consciousness who vanished before the birth of time, leaving behind only faint echoes in the void. But the memory wells reveal something horrifying: their leader, the first Silk-born, did not vanish, he simply slept in the empty loom, waiting for a successor powerful enough to awaken him, and Naruto's rebirth as the human guardian created the exact cosmic frequency needed to stir this ancient being from hibernation. As this truth spreads through the webway, entire dimensions begin trembling as if sensing an old master's return, and strange omens appear, spider constellations blinking out one by one, galaxies twisting into spiral knots, and the shadows of stars stretching unnaturally far, all pointing toward the empty loom, calling Naruto like a whisper from the deepest part of his soul, torn between duty and exhaustion. Naruto tries to resist the pull, but Weavelet, whose body begins flickering like a dying candle, tells him that the first Silk-born is not an enemy or an ally, but a test, the test that determines whether creation should continue or collapse into silence, and Naruto realizes the multiverse has reached a turning point where its fate is no longer threatened by destruction but by judgment, and only he can answer that call. As Part 6 closes, Naruto walks alone toward the horizon where the sky splits open, revealing a path made of starlight threads leading into the empty loom, and he whispers a promise to Hinata that he will return, even if the journey takes him beyond existence itself, while Hinata watches him vanish, her god's sight witnessing a terrifying vision. Begins seeing lights floating around Naruto, lights shaped like keys, each key representing a door to a reality Naruto has not yet unlocked, and she worries that Naruto's rebirth may have tied him to a greater destiny quietly waiting beyond the horizon. Sasuke, on the other hand, discovers that the Eric Rinnegan is evolving on its own, growing fractal veins of silver light that pulse with dormant power, and he realizes his connection to Naruto is no longer spiritual or emotional, it is metaphysical, woven into him as part of the very architecture of the multiverse, and he starts experiencing visions of a dark place known as the Empty Loom, a realm where no universe has ever been born, a place older than gods, older than light, older than fear, and the visions grow stronger every time Naruto uses even a fragment of his cosmic power. Sensing a deeper mystery, Naruto travels with Hinata and Weavelet into the memory wells, pools that allow them to see the forgotten histories of creation, and there they uncover a revelation that rewrites everything: the Spider Mother was not the first weaver, nor the strongest, she was only one strand of a massive cosmic hierarchy, and above her existed beings known as Silk-born Ancients, the original weavers of consciousness who vanished before the birth of time, leaving behind only faint echoes in the void. But the memory wells reveal something horrifying: their leader, the first Silk-born, did not vanish, he simply slept in the empty loom, waiting for a successor powerful enough to awaken him, and Naruto's rebirth as the human guardian created the exact cosmic frequency needed to stir this ancient being from hibernation. As this truth spreads through the webway, entire dimensions begin trembling as if sensing an old master's return, and strange omens appear, spider constellations blinking out one by one, galaxies twisting into spiral knots, and the shadows of stars stretching unnaturally far, all pointing toward the empty loom, calling.